So it's a pleasure to be here. It's about a year since I was here last time, and what a year it's been. It's been huge. I'm going to have to get the light. Okay. Other tennies down there. It has been a massive year. It's been over 400 meetings and events attended and thousands of people. I've got to know thousands of people. So I recognise some faces in the room and some new ones as well. We've traversed the Redlands to all the islands multiple times, listening to issues, listening to a range of community groups. And I have filled a very, very long spreadsheet. It's over 42 pages now of issues. And the wonderful thing about getting to know all these community groups is that certain issues create connections. So, for example, sporting. You know, I've gone to some sporting facilities or clubs, and they've said that they need certain things, and then gone to another sporting club and they might need the same thing. It's also a really great thing to have a resident ring me about potholes on Macleay Island, and I can say, I know the one that you're talking about is outside the hardware shop, and you're right, that does need attention. So there's all these things that I've gathered and lots of information, and that probably forms the basis of one of the key issues that we were so passionate about. So when I announced in January, I came here on my Pat Malone for the first time, and it was rather daunting. But what's been lovely is this organic growth, and over the time I have met such fantastic people. So I've met Wendy, and you can see on all the photos that she showed where we've been and what we've done. I've met Adelia, Lance, Paul Bishop, lovely community-minded councillors who are so invested in doing the right thing, both ethically and both the right thing by the community. So they look for all the things that we might need, and they push that agenda. Also, during that time, I got to know other people who had a passion for the community as well. So Brian McDonald, Jasper Every and Hilton Travis, and they also joined with me. We did some research around the ECQ, and we found that we could operate as a group, and we wanted to do it transparently. So we wanted to let everyone else know that we'd be working together and register it, and we did that. The beauty of this group, the most fantastic thing, is that we have all parties represented. So this is already bringing community together. We've had division for far too long. We've had discord. We've wasted an awful lot of money on council complaints, issues around conduct, and enough's enough. So in having a look at that, we thought, how best can we improve the situation? And that was by working together, and that's what brought us all together. So the common platform is good governance. And under good governance comes things like transparency, integrity, inclusivity, and responsible expenditure. And we came together on this common platform in agreement. However, that does not mean we lose our individuality. And we've already found that in having discussions. I wanted people to work with who would represent very clearly their divisions, and this is what these people do. They fit the demographic for their divisions really, really well. The heartening thing is, in listening to candidates speak tonight, so both Jack and Trent, it's become evident that there are more people putting up their hand who have those similar core values. And I want to thank you both for speaking tonight and articulating those so well. I think that's fantastic, because it's been very hard to try and generate, more interest sometimes. It's not an easy job. You put yourself open to public scrutiny. It costs a lot of money to run, and it's a very difficult process for one reason or another. But we get there. So my big agenda, personally, is to bring community together and give us all a voice. The other big platform that we're running on is community engagement, and everyone's pretty much touched on that, and I think we recognise that, and we recognise the shortfalls that currently exist. So how do we do it? There are a range of things. So working within council management, as I have before elsewhere, we had a range of options in relation to community engagement. So they can be things like introducing committees. It's about bringing community back into council and taking council back to the community by doing things like this. It's a very simple process. Having more town hall meetings, by having councillors go out around the local government area, not just staying in their division. And one of the things that we're already doing as a group is visiting areas together. So we're having that whole of city approach, which is really lovely. So when I've made a trip over to Macleay Island, we've got Hilton Travis there already, Lance Hewlett's accompanied me, Brian McDonald has also accompanied me, Wendy's come over too, Adelia, and we get a good idea of what the issues are. So that when it goes back to council, it's not just one councillor with an understanding of that division and that issue, it's everyone. And I think we get a better result that way. So that's the platform. That's a little bit about our group. Who haven't I touched base with in this room? Who doesn't know much about me yet? No, most people do. I'll just give you a quick rundown on my background so you get an idea. So I have lived in the Redlands with my family for over a decade, well over a decade. My children have grown up in here, they've gone to school here, they're now all adults. I have been in the area since I was a kid. My dad's lived Bayside. My parents separated when I was young, so I went back to central Queensland, so I've got city bush roots. But every school holiday was spent out on the bay, around Horseshoe Bay and Stradbroke Island with my dad on the boat. The landscape it has always intrigued me. I love the area. We love living here. We love the lifestyle, as do most people. My working background is varied but fairly comprehensive. So I started out after uni in the police service. My granddad bet me $50 I couldn't get in. I was too short, he said. So of course I had to get in, and I did. It was post-Fitzgerald, so the training was very much focused around ethics. And that really struck a chord with me. That probably became a passion then. So digging, researching, making sure things are done the right way, making sure that people have good representation, making sure that it's genuine and honest representation. It's not a big ask, it's the way things should be done. While I was in the police service, I was a general duties officer around Brisbane City, Fortitude Valley, New Farm. That was fun. And then I became a police prosecutor, and then finally a police trainer. So training the new recruits coming through and the existing staff in legislative change. My husband and I started a company, professional photography and graphic design, and that grew, and it just became financially feasible to change tact and go into that, which we did for over a decade, and we had clients including Stocklands, Australia Post, Ergon Energy, and I'm very proud of the achievements that we made at that time. We built a company in a regional area, we won awards, we got great contracts, and we employed local staff. We decided to have a tree change to Byron Bay, and we went down there. Scott was sick for a little while, but the Byron air was really good, and I moved into local government. So I started out as the Community Economic Development Officer for 6 months and was promoted then to a Manager of Economic Development in sustainable communities. So my portfolios were youth, age and disability, special projects, before and after school care, public art, public libraries, economic development, tourism, events and grants. That was my team or teams. It was a fantastic learning environment. Byron is very diverse, so it gave me a really good insight into council operation, council management and dealing with different personalities and teams, and a very interesting landscape, both politically and economically. We came back up here into Queensland, and since that time I've been doing some work helping a lot of people with complaints processes. So complaints processes around banking, overbilling, aged care, medical price fixing and things like that. So there's been a lot of diverse interest there, but always around complaint systems. So I love research, I love looking at things. I love determining a really good way forward. In terms of what we're looking for as we move forward for council, Wendy's already touched on the major projects, so I won't go over those unless it comes up in questions, because I think that's pretty well covered. However, what I will say is that we want to move forward with that platform. So everything we do and everyone we come into contact with, we really want to push that platform. And that's what I've been doing over the last year. So I've committed the last 14 months to going out into the community every day, and I've had 5 days off in that period, in 14 months. But it's been worth it. So I've gotten to know so many people, and I've gotten to know genuinely what you really care about. So you'll probably ask me questions around my views on major projects, and I'm happy to answer those. We will, as I said, move forward looking at, and if you haven't seen our ads in the Community Leader, they've been pumping out every month. I think Wendy had a picture of one up before. But it's been a real focus on, what we're looking for is a real focus on value for our rates. We're looking at wastage. So when I started my research, which occurred after going out to dinner with some friends and looking at how much we paid in comparison to all of those people who lived all around the city, and seeing that we paid almost double in some instances. And then going home and looking at where we're spending our money. So I looked at overseas trips, and then I would go and look at the reports and find out what the actionables were from those reports. What were we getting for that money? And there wasn't much that I could find. From the very small things like car expenditure right through to major projects. So what we would like to see, and personally what I would like to see, is a review of our major projects to see where we have a baseline for our new council. We want to start off on a new foot. We want to do a lot of things very differently. There are big changes ahead, but with lots of changes comes a very exciting time if we do it properly. It's a change management process. So rates, value for our rates, that's key. When we look at saving money, we want to invest that money back into our infrastructure. So Wendy's already touched on some of the issues already, and they've been touched on. I think Trent's also raised sewage treatment plants in Southern Thornlands, or the lack of in Southern Thornlands, shoreline. We've got roads, green seal roads that unfortunately haven't lived up to their expected lifespan. We've got our Cleveland pool, which according to the 2019 Deloitte report has reached its end of life. We've got some basic amenities that really do need attention, and they should have had attention long ago, long before now, particularly given our growing community. So investing in our infrastructure. Then we've got investment in our sporting groups and our community groups. They are the heartbeat of our community. And if we're talking about youth engagement and youth offending, then investment in these kinds of facilities makes sense. We want to be more engaged with our youth, and this is where Jasper Every really interested me when he reached out and made a point of contact, because he was a young man, very invested and very credentialed, who came on board. We met a lot of times, and he fits the demographic of Southern Redlands really well. With his interest, we would like to do a range of things that will offer more engagement for our youth, and we're looking at events, possibly youth council, all sorts of things. There are a range of things that we can do. And then comes collaboration with other levels of government. So as Wendy said too, I think might have been Jack, I can't remember now, someone's raised it as well. That collaboration between state, federal and local government is very important, and for political reasons that's been really difficult. So for anyone who doesn't know, I am an independent candidate, but what is beautiful is that this campaign has brought together funding and volunteer hours from people from all major parties and some minor ones as well. And I think that is a tremendous success. That is doing what I hoped we would do right from the start. That is bringing everyone together, and that's how we'll get things done.